Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing everything about my weight loss journey, including my tips and tricks and what worked for me and what led me to losing the weight finally and keeping it off. For those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Elle, and on my YouTube channel and my Instagram page, Elle Herself, I share my journey following a keto diet, which is just a low carb, high fat diet, and how I balance an active, healthy lifestyle. The reason why I share those things is because for so many years, like I'm 31 now, for most of my life, I have struggled with my weight. I am not somebody who is naturally lean. I gain weight really easily, and that's always been the case for me, even when I was a child. Because I deal with my emotions via eating, like if I feel stressed out, I will just like eat. That's the way in which I dealt with it at university. If I felt stressed out about exams or study prep, I'd go to the supermarket and get food, bring that food home and like use that as a reward. You know, you've got a big night of study ahead, so here's a bag of lollies, just eat it. My weight went up and up and up and up. And during these times when I was making poor decisions with my nutrition and not prioritizing any kind of physical activity, I did not weigh myself. I remember those times because my clothes didn't fit, but ignorance is bliss, and I really didn't want to know how much I weighed because I didn't want to deal with it. So I can't tell you specific weights at this particular point in my life. Those same habits continued until I finished university. I just got really antsy and I was just so burnt out, I think, from studying, because I wanted to go traveling, I wanted to live overseas, and I had lined up the opportunity to go to New York and work over there. So I finished university. My weight was pretty high at this point, and I remember moving to New York feeling really unconfident because, again, none of my clothes fit. When I moved to New York though, my physical activity increased dramatically because I didn't have a car, I was super poor, I was taking the subway and I was walking everywhere. I also lived in apartments that didn't have elevators because I couldn't afford to live in an apartment with all those amenities. So I was walking up flights of stairs every day. I was also, again, because I was so poor and I was supporting myself, I didn't have any help from my family. I was working 2 jobs. So I would work a desk or an office job during the day, and then at night time I would work as a waitress, and on the weekends I would also work as a waitress for tips. So I was hustling hard, and I didn't even have to think about what I ate because I was too busy to like eat things anyway. I mean, I was too busy to go to the supermarket as I had been in New Zealand and get food just to come home and binge in private, which is what I had been doing because, again, feeling sad or depressed or anxious, that was how I dealt with my emotions, was in the privacy of my own home. I would just eat a ton of food, watch TV, and just kind of zone out as I would eat. But in New York, I felt really happy and optimistic and hopeful and excited about opportunities in the future. And rather than spend my time doing that, I wanted to be out and about and doing things. So that's what I was doing instead. And because I was so active just accidentally, the weight dropped off. I didn't weigh myself at all in New York, but I know, based again on clothing sizes, that I lost a significant amount of weight in the time that I lived there. After being there just over a year, about 14 months, I found out that my visa wasn't going to get renewed and I had to come back to New Zealand. And that was really, really, really tough for me because my future, for me, I wanted to be in New York. I wanted to stay there. I wanted to continue to work and live there. So coming back to New Zealand was a really difficult period of adjustment for me. And again, I turned back to food. I had gone from living in an apartment, having all this independence, to moving back into my parents' house because I had nothing, didn't have a job, didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and I turned to food. So I started, again, being back in my car, driving everywhere, not walking everywhere, and my weight started to creep up. I was still really happy and confident in my body. I knew that I was gaining weight, but I wasn't doing it. I didn't do it overnight. It was going to take me some time, but if I'd continued down that path, I would have been back up to like my highest weight. When I moved back to New Zealand and I like adjusted back in, that was actually when I met Dave, my husband now. Dave and I knew each other at university the first time around, and we ended up reconnecting because I decided that I wanted to finish my law degree. So I got into this amazing relationship with this incredible person. I was so happy and felt just, you know, really in love and like a love bubble. And I then started studying and I was working part-time around my studies. So again, my schedule was really busy because I was either with my boyfriend, I was studying, or I was working. I did not exercise at all. That was the lowest priority on my priority list. And Dave and I both encouraged each other. We were both enablers to making really poor decisions. When we saw each other, we would get takeaways, we would eat fast food. My metabolism has never been a fast metabolism. I've always had to make really healthy choices, either food or exercise or both, to be able to maintain like a healthy weight. If I don't do either of those things or one of those things well, my weight will go up and I will like start to gain weight. So with Dave, we both put on a lot of weight together. We didn't notice it for the longest time. We knew that the choices we were making weren't sustainable. The video that I took that you're about to see of my body was taken after I had reached the point where none of my clothes fit. And at that point, I knew that I needed to make changes. I just didn't know how to make those changes. So the video that I took where you can see my body, this happened after I had started reducing the amount of takeaways I was having. I cut back on my drinking and I was trying to figure out what a healthy lifestyle could look like for me, because I desperately didn't want to do a quick fix where I just lost weight and I'd gain it back. I really wanted to change my lifestyle because I was sick and tired of getting to this point where for a while things were okay, but then I'd gain the weight back, end up there and just feel miserable, just feel uncomfortable, not confident, just really, really miserable. That is when I decided what I was doing wasn't working. I needed to refresh and reset and find something that worked for me. I started following a vegan diet that was plant-based because I thought that would be super healthy for me. And I ended up gaining more weight. I now know, years on, that eating a high carb diet doesn't work for me on my body. Put on weight, I bloat, and I even gained a number of digestive issues that I was put on medication for. And I had a doctor, and even I hired a plant-based nutritionist to help me through that period. Both of them said that I needed to reintroduce lean protein back into my diet. So that period of my life was really, really tough because I was trying to get healthier. It wasn't working because I was just gaining weight. But not only was I gaining weight and feeling more uncomfortable, I also had digestive issues and I was on medication to address a number of health concerns. As I started introducing lean protein back into my diet, that was when I went to the library and I was like, honestly, it's such a vulnerable place in my life that I was willing to just look at any option. And I remember looking through books in the library in like the nutrition section, and I found a book all about low carb. It was low carb and it was low fat, but the food looked fresh, it looked interesting, it looked doable. And I started introducing more low carb foods into my diet. So I was reducing down my carbs and increasing in that protein, but still keeping my fat sources pretty low. I was hungry all the time. I did not feel satisfied, but the scales started moving in the right direction and I started feeling leaner and better, more confident, happier. So I knew that I was on the right track, but I hadn't figured out something that I enjoyed because I found it to be quite difficult to adhere to it. I had heard people talking about keto for a long time, but I thought that the keto diet was honestly just the most reckless way to eat. And I thought that because I honestly didn't even understand what it was. I had never looked into it. I had never researched it. I just heard these like crazy claims about it, and I thought, who would be crazy enough to try that? But as I was on that low carb journey, I kept seeing keto like around all the time, and it honed in on me that I was like, okay, fine, I will give keto a go. I will research it. I will find out more about it before I just write it off completely. So I went back to the library, got out books on keto, was reading these educational books on keto, like to find out the science behind it and what it actually meant. And the more I learned about it, the more sense it made to me. The reason why I was feeling hungry and not satisfied was because I didn't have enough healthy fat sources in my diet. I remember telling Dave, I'm gonna try keto. He was also following this low carb diet with me. Both of us felt the same way, just not satisfied. And because we didn't feel satisfied, what was happening was we were able to maintain it throughout the week pretty good, Monday to Friday lunchtime, but Friday afternoon, dinner time, and the weekend, the wheels would fall off. So we weren't staying consistent, and that's why our weight loss was so slow. So I told Dave, I'm gonna give this keto thing a go. And one of the things I really liked about it was you had to commit. You had to commit to give your body time to adjust from processing carbs as an energy source into using fat as an energy source. And I liked that because I hadn't really committed to anything ever. I had just kind of dipped toes in and kind of done this and kind of done that, and always had a really short-term mindset. Like, all I need to do is just drop, you know, 5, 10, 15, whatever kilos, and then I can just, you know, go back to doing whatever I want. But this time I knew I needed to find something that I enjoyed, because when I do lose the weight, and by this point, you know, I was looking at almost 20 kilos that I needed to lose, I didn't want to be back there again. I wanted to be able to sustain it. So I started and I set off, and I remember like my first day following keto, and I really enjoyed it. The food was yummy. I enjoyed it and I didn't feel hungry, and that was like a switch that went off in my head. I was like, you can eat this food, you can feel satisfied, you can feel good, and you're going to get to that result that you want to get to. You're going to get healthier, and you're going to be able to stay there and stick there. From that point that I discovered keto, my struggle to lose weight stopped. The journey wasn't fast, but the journey was enjoyable. For the first time in my life, the scales, not only the scales were moving in the right direction, but my body was shrinking. My body was tightening up, and seeing those changes just made me feel so good, because I had never had that in my entire life. Never had I been able to enjoy what I was eating, not feel deprived in eating that way, and see results. Slowly though, it didn't happen overnight. But I didn't actually care that it didn't happen overnight, because I was enjoying the process. I was having a lot of fun eating the food and enjoying it. So following keto, I lost 18 kilos. The video that I took of myself starting is just before I started keto. I had lost a little bit of weight following low carb, but because I wanted to try something completely new, I took a starting video, which was very scary for me. And before that point, I actually didn't get on the scales because I didn't want to know how much I weighed. But at that point, I weighed 87 kilos, but before that, I had lost some weight. I'm not sure how much, because I know that I was buying size 16 jeans, and I was able to come down a size to size 14 jeans. But I do hold most of my weight in my hips and my thighs, so that was the area to gain weight the fastest. Following a keto diet, my lowest weight that I've gotten down to is 67 kilos, so 20 kilos. But since my lowest weight, I've gained 2 kilos. And I sort of sit anywhere between 69 to 71 kilos, depending on the day. I've also had a boob job done since, so that's added a little bit of weight. When I started making healthy choices, even though I weighed more, my weight was more, it was like a switch went off in my brain. And I was like, you know what? Life is short. Regardless of where my body's at, I need to embrace it. I need to get out there. I need to still enjoy life. So what I'm trying to say is, regardless of whether you are in your journey, if you're at the beginning, if you're at the end, if you're somewhere in the middle, don't let your weight or your body or anything that you deem to be an imperfection, because trust me, no one else notices except for you, stop you from living your life. Don't let it stop you from going to the beach. Don't let it stop you from going out swimming. Don't let it stop you from wearing shorts or a sleeveless top. Live your life. Live it, because you just get one life. And that is really important. My before and my after, this is where I'm at with my body, and I am really proud of the choices that I make, the changes I've been able to sustain, and I love my lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that makes me happy, it makes me feel excited every day, and it's one that I can stay consistent with. If you are at the start of your journey, I also just want to say, like, if you feel as though you won't find what works for you and like you just want to give up, I've been there and I've felt that sense of discouragement. Stick with it. Don't give up on yourself ever. You will find what a healthy lifestyle looks for you. Just keep going, keep persevering, because it's so worth it. Not for the weight loss side of things, but for the mental side of things. If you're feeling depressed and down and like a recluse because you don't feel comfortable, confident being around people, that will change as soon as you start making healthy choices. And you don't have to make changes, every single change overnight. My story was like this, like changes came, changes went, things I was able to sustain, things I wasn't. Focus on what makes you feel good and what a healthy lifestyle should look for you, and everything else will follow. So I'll put my before and my afters here. These are my pictures showing what I looked like at my heaviest weight and what I look like now after losing weight. And just for reference as well, I'm 168 centimeters tall. I can look back now at my journey and I am grateful for what I have experienced, because it's this experience that has allowed me to create a sustainable lifestyle. If you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful at all, please give it a thumbs up, because the support really is appreciated and means a lot. And if you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe, because I upload new videos every single week. I share my journey following a keto diet and embracing a healthy lifestyle. So I share lots of recipes and vlogs. I'll see you in the next video, which will be up very soon. Thank you again for watching. Bye.